We are in Madrid for the final of our European playoffs.
You have got the two fan favorites doing battle for the Spring Split title.
Rookies versus rookies, well, rookies and Yellow Star.
They've got such a massive outpouring of support behind them. A completely rebuilt Fnatic team.
The team that somehow always managed to make the finals, doesn't even matter if they change the roster or not.
Fnatic, it took them 5 games to do it, but they are going to the finals.
And on the other side, the Unicorns of Love, they gave us the craziest games we've seen this season.
They faced SK Gaming! The Unicorns of Love are going to Madrid!
It's right there in the name. I mean, you know, when you've got the power of love on your side and power of evil, you combine the two of them and you can pretty much do anything.
These two teams in Madrid was going to be a crazy crowd.
I expect the Spanish crowd to go completely insane.
European LCS Spring Finals. It's been a long journey since the start of the split, and there's still a ways to go on the road towards the Summoners Cup. But at the end of the day, here at the Palacio Vista Alegre in Madrid, one team will walk away as the Spring Split champions. You can hear the chant. Palacio Vista Alegre is all fired up. Still people outside, they got their signs. The Unicorns of Love fans are aplenty. Fnatic is getting ready on stage, being absolutely concentrated just a couple of minutes ago in there. Kikis with his crazy picks. What will he pull out today? They're very concentrated, Unicorns of Love. Eyes on the prize. Quick shot with the Spanish crew. He's going to bring all the action for the local crowd. And I'm Eve Schok supporter behind my trusty analyst desk, where I'm joined by coach for the Copenhagen Wolves, Dentist, and the mind behind Gambit Gaming, Leviathan.
It's a pleasure.
Well, you didn't even hear my question because it is so loud in here, but it is amazing. The atmosphere is booming and nothing has happened yet. Now, before we focus in on today's final, let's get a catch up on what's been happening here in Madrid. Yesterday, SK Gaming and H2K, they went the full 5 games, and to me, H2K, who couldn't adapt or couldn't keep it going for 5 games in their semifinal, SK dropped the ball, they just couldn't keep going.
For me, it was more H2K losing, SK losing it than H2K winning it. SK looked so dominant in their first performance. The first game was a perfect display of what SK has to do to win against almost every team in the LCS. And afterwards, they didn't adapt to what H2K put against them, and they suddenly changed their style. It was like they wanted to lose.
And yesterday we were talking about mental fortitude on the side of H2K after their semifinals performance. In this third place match, they really showed that being down 0-2, they were able to dig deep, come back, and get those 3 wins for the reverse sweep.
Yeah, definitely. And for a team that's only their first LCS split, making third, no shame in that. But SK, it's actually been their worst result in 3 splits, so they're going to have to maybe reevaluate going into the next split. Now let's bring up the bracket and see where H2K win leaves us today. There's one best of 5 match left to play to decide the Spring Split champion, and the winner will represent Europe in the mid-season invitational. This is, of course, Fnatic versus Unicorns of Love. Fnatic, who secured their spot by beating H2K in the semifinal, and the Unicorns of Love, who qualified by beating out the first seed SK Gaming. And I think when we take a look at this bracket, not a lot of people had expected it to go this way, Dentist.
Not at all. Like, I didn't expect it. Unicorns of Love is a team coming from Challenger Series. They're all rookies. I mean, they're super young, they're super inexperienced, and now they're standing on the grand stage. It's the title that is on the line. They're in the finals of this year's LCS Spring Split. That is just amazing for those guys.
Yeah, and Fnatic always finds a way to make it to the finals. Yellow Star carrying his team of rookies all the way here, and this is going to be an exciting match.
Absolutely, and that brings us to today's Spring Finals, a best of 5 match between Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love. And that is not all. Immediately following our coverage of the European LCS, we'll hand it over to our friends in North America, where Team Solo Mid and Cloud9 will square off in a 4th consecutive LCS final. Everything the same, another great final there in North America, and here it's all dangled up. Fnatic versus Unicorns of Love, and with a seat at the mid-season invitational on the line today, we want to know what you think. Which EU LCS team do you think would best represent the region on the world stage, and why?
Well, the thing is, if you listen to that crowd, it doesn't really matter who we send. Both are going to be cheered at like crazy. For me, it's hard to judge. Fnatic is the team that looks on paper more stable and should be able to deliver a show against international teams. But Unicorns, they're crazy. They have picks, they have cheese, they have Gouda, they have everything up for them, and they might be able to surprise some international high competition.
You know a thing or two about that, Gouda.
Oh yeah, I sure do. I have to give my vote to Unicorns. One, because I'm Gambit. We lost to Unicorns in the quarterfinals, so we lose to the eventual champions. We'd like to see what they can do at MSI. But also just their crazy picks, and they're so entertaining to watch. Who wouldn't want Unicorns at MSI?
Yeah, and lucky us, we get to watch maybe 5 games of these teams versus each other, but be sure to tweet your answers, who you think would do good on the international stage at UOL Esports, and include the hashtag LCS, and we'll check out some of your responses later today. Now, the teams are about ready to take the stage in front of this amazing crowd, so let's meet our finalists.
Fnatic has been in every LCS finals. I hope that we are going to take our 4th title.
I think ever since we started playing, we've always been kind of the underdog. Coming from being like a challenger team and now being in the LCS and going to the finals, it's incredible.
Fnatic are taking down the Unicorns of Love.
No!
A few more hits.
What?
Unicorn of Love is the only team that we've lost 2 games during the regular split.
I am expecting a close series against MS1 final.
Steelback has just gotten massive.
Yeah, you're pretty fed here.
I think we have stronger individual players.
I think we're a really unique team with like high champion pool.
Whoa. Shaco is locked in.
We kind of know their playstyle and we are really good at adapting.
If we do good prepare, then we can easily win.
We want to be first place, to show that we're a really strong team and that we can compete with the best in EU.
There they are, our 2 finalists, Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love. And no matter how much you strategize, practice, or prepare, the minute you take the stage and you hear this, something goes through your veins and you gotta be ready for it.
Yeah, I can only imagine what's going through these kids' minds right now. Looking down at the thousands of people, all the people watching at home, getting ready before your most important match of most of these guys' careers. This is just amazing.
If you go out there, that is a moment you definitely want to take a picture of. I can't imagine how you can't get affected by that. Like, I'm affected by it. This is amazing here.
We all are. We also saw Daylor and Sheepy there. They're also gonna play such a pivotal role, and you know what it is. You know, would you get affected by it yourself? They're standing there. The cup is right there, and you got to make it happen.
The coach has to be the catalyst for the team. You have to keep all your emotions in check. Regardless of how wrapped up in the emotions you want to get, you must remain on that solid level. You must be the balance for your team.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what it is. Fnatic versus the Unicorns of Love, 2 brand new rosters who have shown they're the best in the LCS, but now they have to prove if they're the very best, can they thrive under pressure? And we can't forget, 9 players out of 10 on that stage playing right now. It's their first LCS split. And that only gives more weight to Yellowstar in the lineup of Fnatic because he'll be able to bring so much to that team.
Absolutely, Yellowstar is a veteran. He's on spot with everything he does. He's a brilliant mind, he's a brilliant player, and he's been there since season 1. So he's the player who that Fnatic team is built around. And it just worked out all the way to the finals.
And he's like, I'm back, guys. Another final for me. And now while the teams set up for game one, let's take a closer look at the lineups for Fnatic, who will be starting on the blue side. We have Huni, Reignover, Febiven, Steelback, Yellowstar, as we said, and they are coached by Daylor. Both teams decided to choose blue for all the games. So 1, 3, and 5, blue for Fnatic, 2 and 4 if it comes to that. Blue side for the Unicorns of Love, which is a change because the Unicorns went for the red side when they could in the past in their last game.
Yeah, absolutely. Both went the standard way. Usually when you think of best of 5, you always choose blue side for yourself. In the current meta game, it doesn't really matter what side you pick. If you're blue side, you can secure that one OP champion in the meta to secure for your team that takes the victory. And if you're purple side, or red side, you're able to counter pick one of your solo lanes, which is also very important. It's a matter of preference.
Yeah, and Leviathan, how will that come into play here? Knowing that Fnatic in their semi-final versus H2K, they took a while to adapt, and they're going to have to adapt faster in this one.
Yeah, I'm sure they took a look at their series and are going to reevaluate their drafts moving forward. I think it's really important to make sure that your first couple of picks are flexible picks that can move into different strategies and styles of play. So if the enemy is coming at you with something that is really strong at what you want to do, you can quickly make that audible and go into something else.
Yeah, and central, and that was of course Huni, whose name is being shouted here a lot, who they didn't win because of Huni, but it was crucial for them to change and go up to that Vladimir pick, and you wonder, why would they stick with the Lee Sin pick for so long?
Well, I said it last week, if you pick a Lee Sin in the top lane, smite doesn't really matter. You want to be aggressive. You want to have early game pressure. And Huni was just not able to deliver that amount of pressure for his team. He became a tank, and Lee Sin as a tank without any stats is not the greatest. So once they swept from the Lee Sin to the Vladimir, it worked out perfectly for them, and that's the way they have to go today.
Yeah, and someone else who did put a lot of pressure down, Febiven absolutely carried. I mean, also his first split. What a story for him, choosing to go with Fnatic in this new lineup, and it has paid out.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing mid lane player, very hyped up. A lot of talk around the pro community about when he was going to turn 17, what team he was going to go to, how he was going to perform, and he's really stepped up this whole split and in the playoffs, carrying his team to the finals, and we'll have to see how well he does today.
Yeah, key here is how they will do and how they will adapt. Let's take a look at the opponents for Fnatic. On the red side in game one, we have the Unicorns of Love, Vizicachi, Kikis, Power of Evil, Vardak, Hilasan, and their coach, Sheepy. They adapted, we said it before, they adapted and picked some bans in their game versus you guys. And then they adapted in play style, which is maybe more impressive. They show that they are not one-dimensional and they can play someone else's game.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing how the Unicorns of Love play. I was overhearing that, they don't really pinpoint their exact strategies going into the games. They kind of just go with the flow, see what they can see in the game, and we see an opportunity here to make a move, well, let's go. They all work together in the shot calling, and it's really awesome to see. I love watching the Unicorns of Love play.
The most important and the most actually incredible thing about Unicorns, it's a bunch of friends. Those guys are 5 or 6 if you include their incredible coach Sheepy. They're 6 friends. They have no shot caller. Whoever feels comfortable makes the calls, and that is the reason for their crazy playstyle. They just, if they see an opportunity, they go for it. They will fight you wherever, whenever.
Yeah, which could be their downfall in some occasions, so we'll see how those levels of aggression play out versus each other so crucial in this matchup. We touched on Febiven. We got to touch on his counterpart, Power of Evil for the Unicorns of Love. Also incredibly hyped, we got to be honest, coming into the season, but who's gone quite a different route, not going for those all-in assassins like the LeBlanc, like the Zed, but choosing those scaling champions and playing around those.
Yeah, no, Power of Evil is the focal point of the team. When Power of Evil is ahead and when Power of Evil is performing well, they generally win their games. I saw this statistic where in wins, Power of Evil generally does 35% of the damage for the team, but in losses, he's under 20%, which is very high and very low, considering where the rest of the mid laners sit. So when Power of Evil is on, his team is on, and he's shown that he's able to both play the assassins and play those more supportive champions, late game scaling champions like Orianna.
That's what surprised me the most. Power of Evil is a known assassin player, and if you put him on that assassin and he gets ahead, he's able to put all other 4 guys on his back and carry the game home. Last in the semis, he didn't pick assassins, and when he did, he fell behind, and he was actually the reason, or one of the reasons, why they lost the Pacific game on LeBlanc. On Kog'Maw and Orianna, he had incredible performances, so I really don't know what to expect today.
I think the center point is here. We don't know what to expect, but we're going to see a lot of kills, bloody games, exciting games, and hopefully 5 of them. The teams are armed and ready on stage, so let's send it over to the casters for game 1.
Thank you very much, Shocks. And the analyst desk, we are about to get into game one here in the Spring Split Finals. I'm Quickshot, this is Deficio. It is a best of 5 that has the potential to go anywhere. And I think the analyst desk said it best. We don't know what the teams are going to bring.
No, and this is the final. Every single fan at home who watches EU LCS were hoping for 2 teams. One of them completely new into the LCS. Another one, yes, Fnatic has been here as a brand, but there's 4 new players in the LCS as well as Yellowstar. We talk about it so often because it's such a crazy story. And looking at the 2 teams here, Unicorns of Love, while they've completely changed the play style in the late game or in the playoffs, we're going to have to see if they stick to it against Fnatic, who's so good in the mid game.
Well, we will be finding out, Deficio, because there's more than just a Spring Split title on the line today. Both of these teams are playing to secure those championship points. 90 for a win. First place, 70 for second. It will determine one of the 2015 Worlds Qualifier spots. Whoever has the highest amount of championship points will obviously go to Worlds. Winner of the Summer Split, as well as the winner of the regional qualifiers. And on top of all of that, the winner represents Europe at the mid-season invitational.
That's the big one for me, because I really want to see what one of these 2 teams can do against the international competition. We didn't have a good showing at IEM, we didn't have a good showing at Worlds. We can show at MSI that these 2 teams here, they can bring something special.
Well, I sincerely hope so, because
so do I.
Europe has been a little bit dragged through the mud in recent international tournaments. We are about to get into the championship series for the Spring Split title. Deficio, I think we have to let the crowd speak for us.
Yeah, that's very true, but are we finally going to see Morgana and Thresh being banned away and taken away from Hylissang? I'm expecting at least 2 support bans and potentially a first pick then for Yellowstar to take all 3 main champions, Annie, Morgana, Thresh, away from the main playmaker on the Unicorns of Love. Morgana is here already, Cassiopeia, no surprise, you gotta ban it against Power of Evil.
Definitely the case, and something the analyst desk was talking about, the fact that Power of Evil's trended a little bit away from Assassins in the playoffs. He was doing it a lot in the splits, whereas Feathervin, Zed and LeBlanc was his bread and butter. I do want to touch on this Cassio ban. It is the 20th time it's been banned against the Unicorns of Love.
First pick Thresh.
In 28 games, and as you've touched on, Deficio, you're expecting that support focus.
Oh, for sure. First pick Thresh coming in for Fnatic and Yellowstar here. Otherwise, the 2 bans wouldn't make any sense from Fnatic. And the reason he wants this over the Annie is for the early roaming potential he likes to use on Thresh. Annie is great as well when it comes to early roaming, but it can be a bit more risky. You can be caught out, you're very squishy. Thresh, on the other hand, you group him up with his jungler, you invade into the enemy jungle for deep wards, and then you have that lantern as well to pull your jungler out to safety. So you're very, very good at these early skirmishes on that champion, and that's why Yellowstar wants it for himself, because this game is going to be so much about can Fnatic get that lead we often see around the mid game and stop the Unicorns of Love from getting to late game if they keep picking scaling comms. When you ban double assassin, it tells me that Power of Evil wants to get one of these passive mid laners, wants to be able to sit and farm for 15-20 minutes before he really wants to do a whole lot.
And that could be bad for Fnatic. The 2 previous times these teams have met, it was the late game that determined the eventual victor. Couple seconds left on the clock. Unicorns going to go with a fairly standard, safe lock-in here. Vardag's on the Sivir. Kikis is going to be taking that Grungle. And I do want to touch on Huni. He trended towards the Vlad after the Lee Sin fell on its face, but Rumble is available. It was banned out in the semis.
Was banned, but Rumble is open. Featherman showing his old main champion, Riven, in the mid lane, even where his name comes from. Now with 2 assassin banned away, there could potentially be a pick for him, but I think you want to see some more picks from the Unicorns first. I do notice how Vardax, though, has not locked in Jinx. That was his main champion in the playoffs, or has been the main champion for him in the playoffs, but every single time he played it, it was paired with Thresh or Morgana, so you could chain CC, pull in a target or bind the target into trap, and then you execute them at level 6 with your ulti as the Jinx. Seeing as those supports are gone, he's swapping it over, safe for Lane and Sivir. Also a takeaway from Fnatic, obviously, who really likes to play Sivir a lot.
Wow, big change here for Fnatic. We touched on Kalista extensively over the course of the last couple of weeks. 5.6, Kalista has difficulties taking down those tanks. And there's going to be Rek'Sai for Reignover, another early game jungler, which is something he also favors.
It fits so well with the Thresh here. Again, this is the 2v2 roaming potential from Fnatic, where they're beefy, they can take the fights. That Lantern, you always got to respect it, not only if you want to save your jungler, but also to pull in someone else into the fight and quickly turn it into a 3v2 situation for Fnatic. Kalista, yes, as you said, she has trouble killing the tanks late game, that's why you're not aiming to go late game. You are here because you are a fantastic laner as Kalista. Your mid game is brilliant as well. So you want to make sure that you can force fights. You can even throw in your support now to start the whole thing. Flay, Box, following from Yellowstar. There's so many ways for Fnatic just with that bot lane combo to start fights and also take these early skirmishes, which we know they love to do.
And for the first time all year, Hylissang will be playing on the Braum. He's only played 4 champions to date and has not opted to the Leona. Vizicachi on Maokai has been incredibly successful in the bigger picture, but we'll need to see whether or not there's enough damage. Unicorns, I think they're lacking, especially if this game goes longer. We'll have to see what Power of Evil decides to lock in that mid lane.
Well, the thing is, if you lack damage, you gotta make up for it somehow. In this case, it's by being extremely tanky. So you have these long team fights where, as we mentioned, Kalista, she needs so many spears to take down a big tank. Sivir gets more damage in that way in terms of the late game. Kalista can still get close if she plays it really well. And then we're gonna have to see. I expect a late game scaling champion for Power of Evil. So suddenly there is late game damage. And you have these long drawn out team fights where you can kite them around and you wait for one guy to miss position from Fnatic. You pull the trigger, you blow him up, you lock him down with the likes of a Maokai, with a Braum ulti, and that's how you win it.
Is that locked in? I think that is.
It is.
Vladimir top lane for Huni. He's going to the champion that got Fnatic to the finals, and we will be seeing Kassadin in the mid lane. It is gaining popularity in recent weeks, and Febiven is undefeated on that champion thus far this year.
I've got to see Kassadin a few times yesterday. We've seen it in China quite a lot, where the whole new Kassadin started with their themes. We can talk more about that in the game itself. Fnatic though, I mean, honestly, it's fairly standard. The only thing they don't have now, which we normally see, is a whole lot of engage, because they like to run champions like Hecarim for Huni, but that's obviously been banned away. Then they would normally pick an Annie for Yellowstar, but they prefer to Thresh over it. There are still options to start fights, but it's going to be more about having the vision control, spotting Unicorns of Love out of position, or if they go too aggressive, and then you turn it around.
Ladies and gentlemen, get Leviathan in the house. The Frozen Heart verse first Gouda is what he was touching on. Is it going to be the same?
It will not be the same, Trevor.
And why not?
That was a top lane Varus. This one here. So, I looked at Power of Evil and his solo queue. He had one Varus game. I was a bit surprised. Why is this man playing Varus in the mid lane? So I started to look towards what Varus can do. And he fits in with these long-range poke champions that he likes to play. What do you want to do? Here's what I'm expecting, at least from him, is you aim for early Brutalizer, get cooldown reduction boots, so you get about 40% cooldown reduction in the end. That means your cooldown on Q, because now when you charge the Q, the cooldown starts already, not when you fire it. That was one of the changes to him. So the cooldown drops down really, really low. It's like 1 or 2 seconds at rank 5. And then you just max out armor penetration, Brutalizer, Last Whisper. Then you add in a BF Sword later. And your poke damage in the mid game is insane. It is so high, and you have such a low cooldown that you can keep firing away. And because Fnatic is not running this hard engage composition, they gotta throw in the Thresh to really start the fight, or maybe the Kassadin slowing people, and then a tunnel from Rek'Sai. This pick might work in just sitting back and poke away.
If anybody was going to make it work, it is going to be the Unicorns of Love for the last time in the spring split. Hit us up on Twitter at LOL Esports. Listen to the crowd and pick who you feel will win. Hashtag FNC win, hashtag UOL win. We are on to Summoner's Rift for the spring split finals. And there is a Varus mid lane.
Yeah, if there's one team to pull that out in the final, in front of so many people here in Spain, it's Unicorns of Love. Flask start for Power of Evil, running Ghost like he likes to do, and these immobile carries. Can't believe I just said that about even a Varus in this sense. But it's also it's a good lane matchup. I mean, Kassadin is not going to be able to do a whole lot against him. He's going to be able to push him down to his own tower, poke him away, maybe even force him back. We see tough start from Febiven. Obviously respecting the damage that's going to come from Power of Evil. We have seen some AP Varus in solo queue from time to time. This is not the case.
No, I'm not going to believe that.
This is armor penetration. I'm going to shoot you in the face, and if you don't engage on me, you're going to have to go back to base and I'll take your tower.
Well, Deficio, I want to touch on 2 things we mentioned in Picks and Bans. Fnatic have got 2 scaling solo laners in Vlad and Kassadin. And as we've already mentioned, it was the late game that cost them the 0-2 during this regular split. And on the side of Unicorns, they are severely lacking that AP damage. There is a small amount that comes in, but you have to feel it could be lacking if enough armor is picked up.
Oh, I agree 100%. Fnatic, with them stacking armor, we know Hourglass is coming in from both Vladimir and Kassadin. That is very normal in their build path. I mean, what we have seen from Kassadin's lately is Rod of Ages, then you get a Codex, then you get your Hourglass. You might even get it earlier in this situation because of all the physical damage for Unicorn. So there's two solo laners who will always stack armor in the first place. Rek'Sai is going to do the same. So yes, Unicorns alone will lag behind in damage. They're suddenly the ones who's looking to snowball a mid-game lead. Once you start hitting that armor penetration spike in the mid-game from Avowers, get the Brutalizer, maybe even the Last Whisper, then you're going to see them start grouping, and Kassadin offers zero proper wave clear to stop them. And that's what Unicorns are going to look for.
Especially if you look at the rest of the Fnatic roster, there's not a lot of wave clear at all. If Unicorns can use that Maokai, Gragas, Sivir combo to engage and disengage where appropriate, they could get that lead they're looking for. So we've been following this Varus mid lane. There was a lane swap that was initiated by the Unicorns of Love, and it will give Steelback and Yellowstar some free time in the bottom lane. Huni currently holding Reignover's hands. Let's have a look at the rest of the map.
Yeah, Sivir is going to freeze the top wave here for Unicorns of Love while we have a push from Steelback and Yellowstar in the bottom side. Vizicachi has read this pretty well. He's already here, didn't have to use teleport or anything. If he just places his ward in the tri-bush up here behind him like he's doing right now, okay, he just throws the sapling. That works too. You need something that just gives you some sort of vision if you're about to get tower doped, and then you can always back away. You still have that teleport, so he's going to get a lot of XP and farm in this one. Vladimir, he struggles in the lane swap. He's not strong in the early levels. Now he's been spotted by the sapling.
Level 1.
Chachi has to back away from this one.
He's not backed away just yet. That's a 4-man Fnatic. They're coming in for potentially the first kill of the finals. Yellowstar taking up the turret, but there's the damage. It's going to be first blood that goes to Reignover. Fnatic are on the board.
Chachi, Chachi, Chachi. You put the sapling, you saw the Vladimir, so you know the jungler is coming as well. Back away, my friend. No reason to stay under that tower. You won't be able to defend it anyway. He was obviously trying to wait for Hildesang to come down and maybe help him, but he was way too late. Unicorns of Love now behind in gold already, just by having Vizicachi being a little bit too greedy under that tower.
It does look like the tower's going to get secured as well, Deficio. So first blood and first tower. Fnatic starting off this best of 5 exactly as they would have hoped.
Now they can go for Dragon as well. Kicking is on the top side. Only 2 members here from Unicorns of Love on the bottom lane. Obviously no summoners being blown from Chachi using the dive beforehand. But Fnatic are okay, they're gonna play it safe instead and just stay around. But what they're doing as well is because they're pushing the bottom wave and the enemy top lane is showing him, you gotta go down and try and force him away so you just sit and get free farm and free XP. Also, you try to break the lane swap very early, so you get that Vladimir in the one-on-one lane. He wants to be against the Maokai as long as possible. He cannot really farm the jungle properly. He cannot really sit in a 1v2. So by taking this early tower, you can now swap to topside with Steelback and Yellowstar and give Huni the lane he needs.
We'll see how Huni can play this one out. Does also have access to his summoner spells. And Hildesang, a man that was heavily targeted, Thresh first pick and 2 support bans for a man that's only played 4 support champions this year, and a man that was given back-to-back MVPs in quarters and semi-finals. Let's see what he can do on Braum. It's not a champion we see particularly often. It does offer a lot of disengage for a Fnatic comp that wants to run at you for those extended team fights.
Yeah, you're gonna have Sivir ulti to either kite back. You're gonna have Braum, of course. You're gonna have the Gragas, who works so well in these poke composition because he can both engage and disengage. So there's a lot of tools for Unicorns of Love to kind of try and stop Fnatic. And now Huni is realizing, well, he should have realized at least there's gonna be a lot of people.
That's gonna be a kill on the board for Unicorns of Love, and it goes to Bardags. Huni makes the mistake that Chachi made just 2 minutes ago.
Well, both top laners here really greedy for some farm. You haven't seen anyone on the top side. You pushed it into the tower. You saw the Maokai was already on the bottom side. You have to expect they're there. And yet you run in and face check the push. Both top laners, man, getting punished for staying around. Fnatic trying to trade for a top tower, or get a top tower at least, but Unicorns will get the Dragon for themselves.
We'll start that timer, Deficio, on a team that you can discuss the late game scaling, having an early Dragon on the board if they can maintain control Might be another way for the Unicorns to look towards a victory. While all that's going on, Fnatic have been uncontested in the top lane, and they will secure their second tower of the game and maintain a gold lead. You need to look down on the bottom. Huni, he's in trouble, does have flash available, gets caught out. Hylissang and Vizicachi still sticking around. The sapling goes out, but it does pop on the minions. That's Ignite ticking away on Huni as he continues to go back in. He flashes right under the tower. Hylissang is going to take some tower shots, but survives.
He's alive.
And Bardags goes 2
Look at top lane though.
Oh.
3 guys from Fnatic still pushing in. Huni just trying to draw some attention on the bottom side. Can't really see how big the wave is here for Fnatic, but they will at least get a lot of damage before Unicorns can even recall from the bottom lane.
So let's see what Fnatic can do. Tower is still being focused. There's no minions really to back up. The next line is coming up. So Vardex, 2 kills on the board as well as a tower. This is a teleport from Huni, which is cancelled just to keep the minion alive and allow Fnatic to take their 3rd tower of the game. They're trying to accelerate the gold lead, but at the cost of farm on both Vladimir and Febiven continues to be bullied in this middle lane.
Yeah, but that's why it's so great you get global gold for them. 3 towers down. It doesn't matter if you're 10 CS behind this early when you get so many towers. Also, Unicorns of Love didn't manage to bounce the wave on the bottom side, so there will be quite some minions coming into Huni now that he can pick up. So despite him dying twice, the first one could have been avoided. The second one was just him drawing attention, honestly. And Unicorns of Love put more value in 1 kill and potentially the bot tower and didn't respect how fast Fnatic could push on the top side. Therefore, 2 towers down up there already. Let's see once Power Weaver goes back. He should get that Brutalizer on the first one.
Yep, still sitting on about 2,000 gold. Febiven and Power Weaver yet to recall that middle lane, but you do expect it should happen shortly. Look at the rest of UOL, setting up for a threatening invade, but Fnatic were able to secure their blue buff. Steelback is also hanging out in this mid lane. Unicorns, there's nothing to really contest here, so questionable invade, but they are going to get away clean. Take a look at Febiven. He's moving up to try wave clear top potentially. No, because once he realizes Unicorns have support, he's going to need more backup.
Well, he has both Yellowstone and Rain over here. They just want to see if they can get under the tower.
Oh, that's a flash death sentence! He manages to catch Hylissang, gets flayed backwards under the tower. That's another kill on the board. And that goes to Kassadin. Being played by Febiven, defending that top lane tower. Unicorns, they had been toying with fire for a while. There was nothing to contest. They end up getting punished for sticking around top.
Beautiful, beautiful setup from Yellowstone. I don't think there was any vision on him when he flashed in, and Hylissang didn't have a flash himself. But look at the mid lane. It's not their Brutalizer first. That's going to come later than for Power Weaver. Manamune coming in as the first item, so looking to stack that one up. It's very important for him that he got that instantly and not the tier first, because that stacks way too slow on Virus. You don't really have a lot of spells you're spamming. You need those auto attacks to count as well. But this is going to slow down his power spike quite a lot. Now he's obviously going to wait till that one is fully stacked. It's not going to go very, very fast for him before he starts going towards these armor penetration items as well. I don't really agree with this from him, simply because we know how Fnatic is going to stack armor, and we know how a Kassadin and Vladimir can do late game against you. So this is a bit risky, but obviously Unicorns a lot of feeling that with double tank, even a tanky support, they might be able to kite the teamfight's late game anyway, and they can therefore delay the Virus spike.
So much pressure on Hylissang to get all of those stuns down to multiple targets. With 280 carries, the Brown passive becomes exceptionally more valuable, assuming Power of Evil and Vardax just don't get insta-gibbed by Kassadin and Vladimir. So many questions to answer. 10 minutes on the clock. Fnatic 1,500 gold up. There are 2 towers in the lead. Some big items completed. Rod of Ages starting to stack for Febiven. Those early towers and the kill, as you highlighted, Officio, starting the stacking. Nice and early for him.
Very early on, Unicorns of Love. We're 10 minutes in. I'm looking at the side lanes to see a Kassadin and a Vladimir, so they say, okay, there's no real way for Fnatic to stop us in the mid lane at the moment. We just quickly group up, we push it in. We had blue buff on the Virus, and for Power Weaver right now, rank 4 on his queue already.
And something that Unicorns have just demonstrated is how strong Unicorns can, their team comp can be in a sieging situation. With all of the ultimates from Sivir, from Braum, from Gragas for a defensive peel, and the lack of initiation from Fnatic, I feel the only way for Unicorns to get punished when sieging a tower is from the flanks.
It is. It is for sure. So proper warding for them should stop it, seeing as a Rek'Sai is not exactly a sneaky champion. You have a few walls you can jump over with your tunnel, but proper warding near the enemy jungle should do the trick for Unicorns of Love. That really is going to make these late game teamfights so tricky. Because if Fnatic can never really get the engage and just end up being poked away, the way Unicorns of Love likes to play this is not necessarily going for kills for Power People, it's just poking someone so he goes back to base, and that opens up an objective later on in the game, like a tower, like a dragon, and that's how they slowly play it. So if they just stay far enough back, Fnatic should technically never get the opening unless they throw in Yellow Star. He flashes in potentially, Flay Box, and then maybe you can start the fight and get onto one of these squishies in the back line.
Well, we'll find out if Fnatic can make that happen. Every single time Power of Evil charges up that piercing arrow and throws it out, the crowd is cheering, much like Nidalee days of old is what it's reminding me of. Remember, first dragon was secured just after 6 minutes after Unicorn successfully dived Huni. They've set themselves up for dragon number 2. This does not look like it will be contested at all. And at 12 minutes, Unicorns starting to show how their team comp can control objectives. They did it on the mid lane tower, and they're doing it on their secondary dragon.
Good start for them. Normally not a team who puts a whole lot of focus on dragons. They often value the towers over them. The thing is, they are a bit stronger at the moment and had control around it. Why not just go and grab a free one? I mean, 12 minutes in, the 5th dragon thing is always going to matter. Kassadin does take a bit of time to scale up himself. Vladimir, we know the story, and this is an ult on the Yellow Star.
Chain of Corruption connects, but we do see Fate's Call saving Yellow Star, trading ultimates. Vardex threw his down as well. Also key to note, Hylissang still level 5. And I want to go back to that dragon point you were touching on, Deficio. As you mentioned, Unicorns tend to play around kills, and then after kills, they tend to play for objectives. And this is a team comp that's not really set up to do the same sort of thing. We'll find out if Febiven can get away. A brilliant lantern from Yellow Star. Death Sentence gets shielded
TP
away
behind.
by Vardex. This is a double TP. Chachi and Huni are going in. Yellow Star and Febiven are trying to race forward. There we see the team fight going on. Vardex in the background. Hebo Plague is on. It's not going to be enough to kill him. Fnatic are in full retreat. We do see Rek'Sai and Steelback coming along from the side lane. Rainover doesn't manage to get too many people knocked up. Steelback still not auto-attacking. It's Unicorns of Love to get the kill on the board. And now Hylissang throws down the Glacial Fissure. Knocks up and slows all of Fnatic. They've traded 1 for 1 as the team fight continues to break out. Unicorns unable to stick to Fnatic, but Fnatic not enough damage to get onto the Unicorns, and let's see what they can do. Sapling to try get that slowdown. Huni's looking for more. Can he get Chachi? Spell Shield blocks that Blood Tide, whatever the E is called. And it ends up being a 1 for 1 in extended team fights. Official, what do you think of how these teams played it?
Well, we got to see what Unicorns of Love want to do when the fight started. Everyone was kiting back away from Fnatic once they came in from the flank here, and they did get the first kill. Then just figured they could go for a little bit more and didn't realize how Fnatic was still fairly tanking. I think Yellowstar also connected quite a good hook for himself to secure at least a 1 for 1. But we get to see how both teams want to play. Fnatic coming in from different kind of flanks to try and get the engage. Hylissang and Rainover finding each other at a red buff.
No real support for either, though. Deficio, while that fight was going on, it was that little stat that popped up. The last time these teams played in week 8, it was 64 kills in 35 minutes. It was the bloodiest game of the spring split. Averaged 1.7 kills a minute. We're on a much slower pace today.
Yeah, these teams got to step up, man. Go kill each other.
Well, it looks like Unicorns are trying. Yellow Star, however, with those Moby Boots, not going to offer himself up for target. 15 minutes. Unicorns with the team comp you feel could get outscaled are down 1,000 gold, but they are the ones making the aggressive plays, so they could even that up relatively quickly.
Yeah, honestly, I would say the late game team fight is going to come down to individual skill or team skill here with the way both want to play it. If Fnatic gets the right engage, gets the Kassadin and Vladimir in there, they can win the fights for sure. Unicorns Love, if they manage to kite and poke beforehand so someone is too low for Fnatic to really fight, well then they're obviously going to be in the advantage. So it's going to depend so much on what is going to happen in the game here and which carry is going to get fed for either team. Varus, while he's had a great laning phase, 141 CS, he was against a Kassadin, expected that he wins that lane, keeps pushing it down. No cooldown reduction yet for Power People. He's building towards the Brutalizer. He has, of course, the cooldown reduction boots for himself completed, as we talked about beforehand. And he's currently sitting on 33% because he has the blue buff. You want to get 40% once you have the blue buff. And then you just see the cooldown on his Q. Now he's going to fight 2 seconds, and there's another one. He's not even at 40% yet. So you better dance, or you're going to get those arrows in your face.
We'll see if Fnatic are wearing their blue suede shoes today. because Power of Evil is singing a song. Fnatic will be dancing to his beat. Something that our stats guys backstage just fed me. It's official. Teams are 21-5 when they've got the first 3 towers before 15 minutes. That is exactly what Fnatic did. But I feel like with the wave clear between Varus and Sivir and the options Unicorns have available, it's going to be so much more difficult than the stats might say.
Oh, for sure. And I want to see if Steelback is going Hurricane second, just to add some wave clear for them. I normally don't like the build at all because you have 0 damage on tanks late game, and now Rainover.
He gets caught out, can the stun connect? I think that it will. Vardex comes in. We do see Feathervin just off screen, but not enough to get involved. And 3 of Unicorn's 4 kills has gone to Vardex. He's already got that eye edge completed, and Unicorns finding Fnatic out of position.
And Vardex is such a tricky AD carry to judge. His laning phase is not the strongest. He tends to fall behind in CS nearly all the time. And then it's about Hylissang setting up kills for him, at least early on. So that's how he gets fed. In this game, he's just been running around with the team and been able to get the last hits, which is perfect because he's a good late game AD carry. In the big team fights, his positioning is great. He's good target selection as well. So it's worth it for Unicorns of Love to get kills on him.
Especially when he's on an AD carry like Sivir. So, tower will be secured by the Unicorns of Love. They've evened up the goal difference, and Feathervin now left almost alone at this tower. The rest of Fnatic trying to come in from the side, and Chachi using those scouting saplings in the jungle and instantly backing away. Unicorns not willing to go for an extended siege.
Don't worry about the mid lane.
Flanked.
Yeah, so they were going for this top lane tower, despite not really having any control of the other waves. Look at the bottom lane. That wave is going to push into the tower. Mid lane here was already being pushed by Steelback. So they quickly realized, oh, we cannot push this tower in time before we lose something elsewhere. We have to back away and try and at least save some of the situation. Because Dragon is alive as well. And they want to go for these now. When you have 2 this early on, you've got to aim for 5 dragons. That's why they recalled, gave up a mid tower, but at least they can contest this one.
We'll find out what they can do. Do have some vision, but not the greatest to work with at the moment. And of course, for Unicorns, they have actually just waltzed straight into the pit. Nearly no hesitation. Teleport is available for Huni if he wants to come in.
There's a ward behind Unicorns. If he TP's there, they can get the flank. Here we go.
This is the flank they're looking for. Hylissang is peeling straight back into Huni. That's an instant Sanguine pull. Where's the Glacial Fissure? That's a flash forward from Hylissang. Throws down the Fissure. Now Fnatic trying to peel away. Power of Evil. He's just throwing out a piercing arrow, but I don't know if it's enough. Vardex threw down on the hunt. It's already timed out. Yellowstar lobbed onto the Unicorn's backline. That's a double kill for Huni as he continues to run forward. A flash flare at the top of your screen, and Steelback is looking for Power of Evil. It's AD carry on AD carry, but it's not the one you'd expect. Power of Evil's throwing out those piercing arrows, and the minions help him out. They end up trading a kill backwards and forwards. It's not over yet.
He's aiming for the Fnatic
are looking for Power of Evil. The hail of arrows doesn't connect, and Huni grabs his 3rd. 1 for 3. There's Rainover. He gets another, and Fnatic are going to chase down Kikis. There's a teleport in from Chachi. He throws up the sapling. He's looking for Huni. Sanguine pulls away to safety. Lanterns to the tri-bush. Visit Chachi uses the TP to try get more. They end up trading what I believe was a 1 for 3. 1 for 4.
Definitely a 1-5 for Fnatic. TP came in at first. It looked bad with Huni coming in on his own because the rest of Fnatic were not ready to join. So with him pulling, getting out at first, at least bought enough time for Rainover and Feathervin to come around the sides and win the fight. We get to see what happens in a straight-up 5-on-5 team fight where Fnatic can get onto the carries. They are the stronger ones. Unicorns of Love didn't manage to land any poke beforehand and simply got caught in a bad spot around the river. The Dragon is still alive, by the way.
Deficio, 12 kills on the board at 20 minutes. Teams know the Dragon's still up, so they're just going to reposition and let's do the dance again.
There's no
piercing
flash
arrow,
TP now.
And those hail of arrows coming out from Power of Evil. He's got a little bit of poke, but he needs more. Movement speed buff from the Crab is allowing him to peel backwards. But look, nobody's continuing to focus. Feathervin trying to look for a flanking opportunity, and the rest of Unicorns, they're on Dragon.
And once again, Fnatic has already set up the side lanes. Top lane's in position. Huni, though, is very, very low. Fnatic might have to give this one up, but then again, Unicorns are tanking the Dragon, so everyone taking some poke. Here's Feathervin.
Feathervin goes in. He does get that Null Sphere out. They're trying to turn. The Chain of Corruption doesn't connect. It's the most missed skill shot in the game. Dragon number 3 goes to Unicorns, and they instantly peel away. An
Look at Fnatic ping on the
extended
map, though.
dance. What can they get from it? No TP for Huni to go top lane. Unicorns trying to play for the 5-dragon objective.
Fnatic can at least try and get a few wards in the jungle of Unicorns of Love here on the top side, because they know someone is going back to defend the minions. There's still 5 guys together. That's what they're aiming for here. We'll also get a pink ward. Still fairly low, at least Rainover from all the poke. That's how Unicorns of Love want to set them up instead. Now, early Baron, Fnatic likes to do this. They place a ping ward and they expect you not to have any vision. There was a ward outside though. Unicorns are on their way.
Let's see what they can do. Kikis does not have flash available. Piercing arrow goes out.
Gotta go in.
And Huni are going low. Illisai got Glacial Fissure. Baron is going down. Who gets the kill?
Kikis!
It goes to Kikis! The Unicorns of Love prove that they are magical. They claw back the deficit. And with Baron Golden kills, they are now once again in the lead.
They have done their homework here. Fnatic will always try and go for an early Baron. They think you're back in base. They had a ward outside. You can still see the pink on the map, so they went in. And Kikis, Power of Evil did it in the semi-final. Kikis, he's doing it in the final. And this is such a huge boost for Unicorns of Love.
Wave clear and all of the stats. Let's see what they can get. Everybody Fnatic will be up in 5 seconds. Minions slowly being killed away. Unicorns of Love are going to take their second tower. Here comes Rainover. He's managed to get into the back line, but there's no real support.
Oh,
and to throw out the Praise Seek and ends up just being a dissuasion technique. Unicorns were in full retreat. And Rek'Sai, played by Rainover, ensured they got out. Baron buff recalls and the Unicorns have exposed the base.
And Fnatic, they keep having these side lanes pushing for them. Let's talk about that after. Baron started, the ward spotted them, so Unicorns will be here to fight. Kikis at first, throws in his ulti, and then he just body slams over, smites on 572 HP, gets it. They win the fight because Fnatic is already low and stuck in a Baron pit. Once we come out here, let's see if Fnatic could get anything, because they had the bottom lane pushing. It looks like we might get another fight.
We'll find out. We do see Fate's Call just to keep Yellowstar alive. Chain of Corruption catches onto Huni. He's forced to Sanguine Pool. Hourglass is available. We will pop
Lantern's
it to
down here.
delay just a little bit of time. He won't be able to get to the Lantern as Unicorns get another kill. It goes to Vardax. Chachi's looking for more. Righteous Glory's not available. Here comes Hillisang. He's going to hop over. That's a flash forward. Does manage to get that. Concussor blows down. We do see Steelback is rooted. Piercing arrow from downtown. And Power of Evil powers through for a kill. Unicorns, they're onto the inhibitor.
They're gonna get that one here. This Baron has done so much for them. They got the mid lane towers, get the fight as well. You can see how Fnatic are trying to use the minions, but Unicorns of Love, they respond every single time and manage to stop them. Rainover wants a red buff.
Might be in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want that red buff, mate.
It's going to be a little bit of a slow coming out from Power of Evil, but he does manage to get out. Unicorn's not sticking around for the buff. We'll have a look in the jungle in a second. But Power of Evil, 2-1-5. He's got a 50 CS advantage. All the armor penetration in the world and the cooldown that you were talking about, Deficio. Death Sentence connects on Hillisang, but Yellowstar, you do not want El Tigre Braum. He will be taking you down. Huni gets a decent hemo play, but there's no damage to follow it up. The pop isn't going to kill anyone. Here comes Feathervin, but don't jump into 4. That will end badly. Vardax managed to get the hit and actually secures the kill. I think that was a red buff that did it. Now we see it's going to be Rainover going down. They're going to chase Steel back into his base. Unicorns of Love are running rampage across Fnatic and destroying turret after turret. This looks like game 1 is in the bag.
Yeah, what happened the last few minutes? Unicorns of Love just managed to get everything from the Baron to the towers to the base of Fnatic. They've been winning the last few team fights. Power of Evil, as soon as he got that armor penetration, started just shooting through people. They couldn't dance. They got hit by nearly everything. Unicorns of Love, what a start.
Second inhibitor down at 25 minutes. Fnatic looking for something but not going to find it. Rainover Void rushes in and tunnels out. We do see Huni in and amongst the team. That's a very good knockup. Chain of Corruption will spread and hold Fnatic in place as Unicorns have bought time to retreat. Look at how powerful that ability is. Piercing arrow after piercing arrow is piercing Fnatic fans' hearts. Game 1 of the series, strongly in control from the young upstarts.
And now,
what a game.
We reset everything. Fnatic gets to clear out these minions here. Dragon is up in about a minute's time. That's going to be the next objective here for the Unicorns of Love. Go down, you set up your early vision, you keep landing this poke, and if Fnatic ever want to engage onto you, well, they have no teleport this time, they have no flash on the Rex side. The only way to start a fight for them is by throwing in Yellow Star and then just try and pile onto some of the carries from Unicorns of Love. That should not be possible. They should be able to get that Dragon, they should be able to focus on the top side now with super minions pushing in. Black Cleaver completed for Power of Evil. We are talking full armor penetration. Even gonna help out Vardax and his damage now from it.
Give me a second to just get to this point, but Unicorn showed in their semi-final they could play patient, they could play controlled against SK Gaming. They had scaling comps, they didn't make mistakes. Something that we've not seen from them, Dragon play, all split long, it's not been their focus. In this series, they've got that Dragon nearly on spawn, and one of the stats guys were helping us figure out is how long Dragons tend to stay alive over an entire game. And Unicorns were the third longest. They left those Dragons standing because their focus was elsewhere. What a great evolution from semi-finals to finals in their gameplay and their decision-making.
It's also just been with Fnatic not securing that Dragon early on in the lane, so despite getting the kill, Unicorns of Love, though, they're just powering up. They're going to give this Dragon. They don't care about that one. They're going to take top tower.
Yellow Star again does get pulled out. Keep in mind, Chain of Corruption was thrown at Yellow Star and it didn't connect. Huni gets caught up by Vizichachi. He's going to take the Lantern back off. Held onto that Sanguine pool. Dragon was secured and here comes Rainover. Hemoplex thrown down into the front line of Unicorns of Love, but they need to get to the double 80 carries. Vizichachi's in front of Feathervit. Just gets blown up. Unicorns of Love destroy him. There's super minions all across the lanes. Piercing arrow after piercing arrow. Huni, it's going to get taken out. Unicorns of Love are onto the Nexus turrets. There are super minions pouring through and Yellow Star doing as much as he can. It's not going to be enough. Steel back in full retreat. Can they get the kill? They're not even going to need it. Nexus is being focused. Game 1 of the best of 5 goes to the Unicorns.
And that was using a Varus in the mid lane for the first game.
Varus mid lane, 5-1-7 out of his team's 14 kills. Fantastic kill participation.
Right.
And I think some props to Hylissang's Braum. I personally felt with the Thresh pick away and 2 support bans, I didn't think he was going to have that same level of impact. It wasn't entirely about him, but he was in the right place. His ultimates were good. And you consistently saw him playing on that front line.
Yeah, he did a good job despite having 2 support bans and 1 even picked away from him. But this Varus pick, I love it so much. The way he started the game by going man immune because he had enough gold to fully complete it when he went back to base the first time, not just the tier, because that would have been pretty bad for him, meant that yes, it was a little bit slower, but then once he got the Brutalizer, once he got the cooldown reduction, we just saw Unicorns of Love start going for these fights here, land the poke first. They lost the one at Dragon, but then turned it around at Baron a few minutes later, and that was just the turning point here. Suddenly Fnatic fell way too far behind for Vladimir and Kassadin to ever scale up into late game, and Unicorns just started running over them.
And the scary thing is he can do exactly the same thing with Cogmore. This is the AD version. This is the AD version of what he did with AP Cogmore in the mid lane. If we look at the damage graphs, more than double the damage of anyone on Fnatic. Nearly triple the damage of his own AD carry, Vardax. What a fantastic performance. Unicorns pick up game 1. I'm going to ask the analyst desk to break down that mid lane Varus.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. And that was actually what we wanted to start with talking about. And as you said, it's like the Kog'Maw. He is so good on those skill shots and controlling that power of evil. Talk me through the Varus pick. I mean, you've hinted at it before, but to pull it out also in the very first game, that is sending a message.
Well, yeah, but it was the perfect setup. He told me before the games, okay, when do you want to play the Varus? And he said, well, you can't really tell they played against Assassins, but if they are picking Vladimir or Kassadin, then it's just the perfect thing because Varus is an AD carry. And an AD carry in general performs fairly well against the Kassadin. But pulling it out on the grand stage in the finals, after this day, everyone will know his name. P-O-E.
Well, a couple of other things in picks and bans before we continue. Fnatic drawing the card of banning out Hylissang. We've sung his praises throughout the quarterfinals, the semifinals, double MVP, Morgana and Annie banned, and first picking Thresh. it doesn't matter. He can do the same on Braum.
Yeah, no, his Braum play was actually really good. We don't see a lot of Braum nowadays, but it actually works really well. Back in Alliance, we used Braum in our double AD comp, which was Stana in the mid lane. So it makes complete sense when you have an auto attacker in the mid lane to supplement the Braum passive, which is going to apply that stun. And he played it very, very well. His unbreakable shields were good, and it was a Hylissang performance.
Yeah, it was definitely a Hylissang performance. You take away the Thresh, you take away the Morgana, but you have to assume that the opponent's gonna ban it, especially Fnatic, who have always a smart picks and bans. So you take that week, you practice another champion, and the Braum fits this perfect. They have skill shots, they have chase potential, they have everything.
And they win with the Varus, so you know you're gonna get your hands on Morgana or Thresh or Annie again, probably, but that's looking ahead. Let's look a little closer at this game again, because when you talk about teams winning the game or other teams losing the game, the Baron call from Fnatic, even though that is their signature move, this time it was too risky.
Yeah, it is definitely a signature move.
Let's pull the replay up on the screen so we can take a look immediately as well.
If you're playing against Fnatic, you know they're gonna go for an early 20-minute Baron. Sometimes right when it spawns, sometimes at the 26-minute mark. It's right in between. Unicorns just secured a dragon, and we can play the replay right now. Fnatic is grouped up in the pit, so it's perfect for the Varus to just poke them down. And don't forget, at this point, it's 20 minutes in the game. Baron does a huge amount of damage to your team if you're grouped up.
And it's very easy to analyze these different types of team comps. So if Fnatic is looking for an engage, they want to find an engage where both teams are at 100% health so they can bring their damage in when they can overpower them in a 10-15 second fight. And what Unicorns of Love is going to look for is some sort of engage where they're already able to apply some poke to the enemy team. Baron applied that poke for them. They cannot afford to take these risks because all they had to do was move around the map, find UOL setting up for an objective, and take a fight. This game should have been theirs.
Yep, absolutely. Until up in that moment, actually, they did play it pretty well, and Unicorns of Love made a wrong call when they tried to push top lane. They hadn't had the minion control, Winions in some cases, as in their game a couple of weeks ago. But looking ahead, I feel for Fnatic, they can really analyze it being that mistake. They shouldn't have done it, but their flanks were actually on point when it did succeed with the cast and with the Rek'Sai.
Well, if you're the coach of Fnatic right now, what are you going to do? First of all, was the Varus really the problem? I don't know. The Varus, like, the Kog'Maw does the same. He's standing in the back row, safe positioning, applying lots of damage to you and poking you. So there are a lot of champions who work, like, pretty similar to the Varus. The other parts, the dragon control of Unicorns of Love were just absolutely astounding. That first dragon at 6 minutes was absolutely perfectly played out. They engaged before them, pulled them away from the scene, secured it. And after that, it was just a perfectly planned out dragon control game. You have to do something about that. You have to get the first dragon.
So, yeah.
And I think one of the things that you can do to get the first dragon is put a greater emphasis on drafting a strong 2v2 lane. The Kalista build, I believe, was questionable. You went Blade of the Rune King into Bloodthirster. I don't really know what that's meant to accomplish. So what I want to see out of this next game is Fnatic putting a greater emphasis on that winning 2v2 lane so they can send their dual lane to the bottom to give them that greater dragon control.
We touch on the dragon control, but to me it's almost like Sheepy has this booklet. Okay, what haven't we done before? The adaptation in Best of Fives, we know we can do that. Adapting to the way the other team plays, we can do that. Let's go for dragon control, guys. It's got to be pretty intimidating to know, okay, what is the next step here?
Yeah, the next step, like, they showed that they can scale into the late game and win games in late game. But they know if they want to scale against a team like Fnatic, they will have the better cards. So Fnatic will take that late game scaling game. So they have to put as much pressure as possible in the early game, and they did that. They had dragon control. They had objective control. They reacted perfectly to the early towers that Fnatic took. It was just like they did some practice.
Yeah, and if I was Unicorns of Love, I would just run it again. Same pick, same strategy. If they make the bans, find the champions that fill the similar roles, and wait until Fnatic says, hey, we can show we can beat this, because the way Fnatic played this game is not the way you play to beat that style of composition.
Yeah, we know Fnatic, how good they are from the regular season, so they will be able to pick themselves up. We hope so, at least. I think that sums it up for this game, and we just want to see the next one. So coming up next is Game 2, as Fnatic looks to even out the score at 1 win each. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 3.5.
It's a four-man Fnatic. They're coming in for potentially the first kill of the finals. Yellowstar taking up the turret, but there's the damage. It's going to be first blood that goes to Rainover. That's a flash forward from Hylissang. Throws down the Fisher. Now Fnatic trying to peel away. Power of Evil. He's just throwing out a piercing arrow, but I don't know if it's enough. Vodex threw down on the Hunt. It's already timed out. Yellowstar lobbed onto the Unicorn's backline. That's a double kill for Huni.
Unicorns are on their way.
Let's see what they can do. Kikis does not have flash available. Piercing arrow goes out.
Gotta go in.
And Huni are going low. Hylissang got Glacial Fisher. Baron is going down. Who gets the kill? Kikis! It goes to Kikis! The Unicorns of Love prove that they are magical!